So now won't go anywhere. Well done, thank you. Perfect. I am on.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Hello and Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Hello, nice to be with you on this fine Erev Shabbat. Great to be with all of you too. Okay, great. Okay, I'm glad we had that Yeah, that was yeah, right.
Was I supposed to?
No, it was supposed to be them to supposed to say back, but they didn't say anything back.
that
No,
was my
that was not your voice. That was not your voice. No. For those of you who might not know, that is Rabbi Kahn over there. I'm Rabbi Keller over here. Your eyes do not deceive you. Cantor Muchnick is not here, and so we are going to apologize for how we sound. Usually Cantor Muchnick has an incredibly fabulous, beautiful voice, bringing in Shabbat. We'll be bringing in Shabbat in a very happy and loving and warm way, just perhaps not with the pipes that Cantor Muchnick shares, or the piano. Although we were debating on having the piano just out here, and just deceiving you, and just kind of pressing. We could stand behind it, but nothing would really happen. So we are not doing any of that, and we're just going to be the two of us leading our Shabbat service. The good news. The bad news is that Cantor Muchnick isn't here. The good news is that we're going to make the service much longer, though. We're going to really elongate the service. We're shooting for a 2.5 to 3 hour mark, is what we're.
4.
Yeah, 4. Well, that's what we were debating. We were debating. Hello to those of you on our live stream also joining us. Hope that you can see us and hear us. You heard all of that. We don't have to recap again. Rabbi Cohen,
No.
Rabbi Khan.
So close.
Rabbi Kahn, Rabbi Keller, no Muchnick. You heard all of that. Okay, we got all that. Got it. Okay. If you are joining us on our live stream and you would like to participate, please go to cbiboca.org. You can go there. You can hit the button on the top left corner that says menu. Under the menu, it'll say services. Hit services. Under services, scroll down a little bit. You'll see a button that says prayer book. Hit that button. You'll be able to pray along with us virtually. We're going to keep saying this over and over again. That will soon go away. The free version of the virtual prayer book. You can eventually purchase a virtual prayer book directly from the Central Conference of American Rabbis, their press. It is going to be $10. And then you'll own it if you'd like. But for right now, it's free. So for those of you here in the sanctuary, you can just reach under your seat and grab a book if you are new here. They are right under our seat. Make sure that your book on the cover says Shabbat and does not say weekday festival, because sometimes they actually look exactly the same, and we don't want you to have the wrong book. So make sure the books are underneath. The books in front of you say Torah. Those are also really good books, but those are for tomorrow. But for tonight, make sure it's a thin blue book that says Mishkan Tfilah on the cover, and that it says Shabbat and doesn't say weekday and festival. Then we can all be on the same page, literally and figuratively. All right, good. Okay, we are going to continue with the lighting of Shabbat candles, which can be found on page 2 in your prayer books. We're going to invite now Susan Mayer to join us to light our Shabbat candles. She is the co-president of our sisterhood. Co-president, that's fun to say. Sure, you can go ahead. Yeah, please.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our
Now that our Shabbat candles are lit, and the Shabbat presence can be around us. We can let go of the previous week and breathe in Shabbat a little bit, breathe in the 25 hours that our rabbis deemed were perhaps 1/60th of paradise. So we can enjoy these moments, this sacred time together, and we will continue to sanctify this time now with the words of Kiddush, which can be found on page 5. Passing one of those. Thanks. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'vratzon hinchilanu זיכרון למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. L'chaim. You can definitely have some.
Are these cups ever washed?
We're not really sure. It's a 50-50 chance that those are. We're gonna presume that they get washed every single week. That's how I like to presume that that's happening. We're going to continue now in Kabbalat Shabbat, in continuing to bring the Shabbat bride into our midst. Now that we have officially begun our Shabbat, we are in our Shabbat, we get to appreciate this time together with the words of Ma Yafeh Hayom. They are on page 10. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. We continue now with Psalm 96, which can be found on page 13. 13. We're going to do a little different version here. This version, this tune, is by a famous Hasidic rabbi named Shlomo Carlebach, and it's very chanty. So, and we're going to go through I should go through the whole page on page 13, but you'll see it goes pretty quickly and it's very chanty, so feel free to chime in and to jump in. The Hebrew's there, the transliteration is there, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. You'll kind of get the flow. All right, here we go. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו, ספרו בגויים כבודו בכל העמים, נפלאותיו כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים, אלי כי אל אלוהי עמים אללים, ואדוני שמיים עשה, הוד והדר לפניו, עוז ותפארת מקדשו. ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ, ירם הים ומלואו יעלו שדי וכל אשר בו אלי אז ירננו כל עצי יער לפני אדוני כי בא לשפוט ארץ ישפוט תבל בצדק והעמים באמונתו יאללה לילה לילה יאללה לילה 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 Ya Eli, 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 Ya Eli, 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 Ya Eli, Eli, Eli. We continue now with Psalm 99, continuing our section of Psalms of uplifting praise during our Kabbalat Shabbat. All the way at the bottom on page 17 is where we continue with the words Romemu. It's that little tiny 3-sentence paragraph at the bottom of page 17. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. And now we continue with perhaps the pinnacle of Kabbalat Shabbat, the words of Lecha Dodi, the words of Shlomo Halevi, who you can imagine perhaps sitting, relaxing, enjoying his Shabbat in the 16th century in Tzfat, in our Kabbalistic city, in his Kabbalistic mode, thinking to himself, I'd like to write some words down on how I'm feeling right now. And so he wrote this very set of blessings, this piyut, these words that connect us to Shabbat. He wrote them himself. And to make sure that you know forever that he wrote them, he wrote his name in these paragraphs. So if you look at page 20 and 21 for a moment, you'll see that there are 9 different paragraphs on 20 and 21. Disregard the 9th one for the moment for our little looking at his name. But if you do want to check your Hebrew, you can take the first letter of each of the 8 paragraphs and it spells out Shlomo Halevi. So he wrote out his own name so that forever and ever people would know that he was so deeply connected to Kabbalat Shabbat and to this particular prayer and the idea of the presence of the bride amidst all of us on these 25 hours that he was so excited to share these words with us. We're going to be doing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And when we get to verse 9, we're going to stand and face the door to welcome in the Shabbat bride. Good? Good plan? All right. We continue on page 20. Which tune did I decide? I decided to do... I'll do this one. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. First paragraph. Shamo v'zachor bedibur echad. Hishmi'anu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad ushmo echad. לשם תפארת ולתהילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, היווה אורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני חגלי נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Please stand and we face the door to welcome in the Shabbat bride. Verse number 9. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Please be seated. We're going to continue now, transitioning away from Kabbalat Shabbat into the evening service, into the Aravit service, and we transition on page 26 with Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei Rabba, B'alma livrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, bagala bagala ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם לא מעולמיה. יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן.
As Rabbi Keller just said, we are now transitioning into the main part of our evening service. So let's each of us set an intention for tonight, for our prayers and for our worship, as we focus in on our hearts and what we hope to uncover and reconnect with. We are on page 28 for Baruchu, and we invite all who are able to please rise.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך, המבורך לעולם ועד. המבורך, המבורך לעולם ועד.
On page 30, let's read together in the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim, ובתבונה משנה עתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיכם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, כולל אור מבני חושך, וחושך מבני אור, ומבהיר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. The next prayer we offer, our Shema, asks us to listen to the eternal, to listen for our neighbor, to listen to the breath of our body. So we are going to try and do this tonight even more so than usual. We're going to take our time and offer a breath for each word as we offer our hearts and souls and intention to Shema, pages 34 and 35.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
You may be seated. It should be. Yeah, it is. Move it closer?
Yeah, a little bit closer.
You can't hear me?
No, I don't think so.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's better.
Ah.
Yeah, it's good. It's better.
Thank
We're
you.
on page 36. 36. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אלוהיכם אמת.
On page 39, on the top of the page, we read together, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there's a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together, just as we did long ago, and so we do now with Mi Chamocha on page 40.
One more time like that. Here we go. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Yai lai 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 lai.
V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov, ugalo miyad hazak mimenu. Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
Amen.
We are on pages 42 and 43. We pray, let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. On page 42, we offer song now version of Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomrenu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomrenu lechaim.
Baruch atah Adonai hapores sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
Amen.
Amen. Though we are taught to pray as if everything depends on God, we know we must act as if everything depends on us. With this in mind, we turn to page 46 as we open our hearts and our lips to praise Adonai with the Amidah. And once again, we invite all who are able to please rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל לחיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומציר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Amen. We continue on our own for the rest of the Amidah. We will join back together in a moment on page 62.
רצון, אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, וגואלי, וגואלי. May the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. How many people are into their birthday? Meaning like, yeah, I like my birthday. It's like a big, keep your hand up. Like, it's my birthday. I like my birthday. So I want people to call me. I want some cake. I want some gifts. I want to get a little showered of like, it's my birthday. I want people to call me. Yes, your hands went up and then down very quickly. Keep the hands up. Give me a second. All right, good. Okay, not everybody. It's kind of a lowish. I say it's under 50% of the room are like, yeah, my birthday. Okay, how many people just lay low, don't even, like no birthday, nothing? Okay, so no one. So there's like a medium. There's a medium of like, yeah, it's my birthday. And then there's like a medium of like, no, don't even call me. Okay, so how about the thought of someone else's birthday? Do you like celebrating someone else's birthday? How many people really like celebrating someone else's birthday? Ah, all right, so much more hands go up in celebrating someone else's birthday, which is very nice. So I would say at least we try at my house, and we tried when we were raising our children, to particularly when they're very young, when you go to someone else's house for their birthday, it's not their birthday, right? So we know at this point, I would hope, that when you go to celebrate someone else's birthday, there's no expectation for us personally, if we're going to celebrate someone's birthday, that we're going to get anything, right? It's and sometimes we go out of our way, actually. We're like, I want to shower the person with gifts, particularly the people you really love, and there's no expectation for you at all whatsoever that you're getting anything out of this. It's for them. It's their birthday. It's very nice to share for them. I don't want anything. It's, in fact, I derive the joy of giving the gifts to you and knowing it's not for me. Okay, so it's weird, though, if one would think that, now flip that, and think that you showed up to someone's birthday, and then you suddenly start to, like, open up their gifts, and, like, schmoozing with their friends, and sitting down and saying, oh, why isn't it my birthday? How come you're not celebrating for me? And then would you say it's slightly awkward if you suddenly decide at someone else's birthday that you decide they should be celebrating you as well? People would think that would be awkward? Anyone? Thank you for the two people who raised their hand. I appreciate that. All right, good. So I'm not talking for that long. I couldn't have lulled you to sleep that quickly. I've only been talking for like 4 minutes. Okay, so I want you to think about that. I want you to think about how we know pretty well, we have a pretty good line that we know that it's someone else's birthday, it's not our birthday. And so if we were to cross that line, it would get kind of weird and maybe even ugly at some point, and mildly disturbing. So I want you to hold on to that just for a moment. And I want you to hold on to it as just mentioned the Torah portion this week, which is called Balak. Balak is the name of a guy. He happens to be the king of Moab at the time the Israelites are wandering in the desert. We are in the book of Numbers, so we are in the 4th book of the Torah. We're actually not that far from the end of the 4th book of the Torah, which also means we're heading into the 5th book of the Torah, which also means the high holidays are very close. So I'm sorry. So I'm fine. So it's towards the end, and Balak is the head of Moab, and he is not a fan of the Israelites. He does not like them, and he's attempted in a bunch of different ways to try and to capture them, to really kill them, and doesn't want them. And it's not working. His plans aren't working. And so he has an idea that he's going to hire a sorcerer and the sorcerer is going to then curse the Israelites, and once they're cursed, he can attack them, because they'll be cursed, because they'll have this curse on them from the sorcerer. So there's a guy named Balak, and he hires a guy named Bilam. The rabbis, or whoever the text wrote this, wanted to make this as confusing as they could for us. So there's a Balak and a Bilam. Why couldn't they make their names any different? I don't know why. So there's Balak and Bilam. And by the way, the weird part is Balak is the minor character, Bilam's the major character, and the Torah portion is called Balak. I don't get it. Okay, that's not the point though. So there's Balak sends out Bilam. He's gonna curse the Israelites, and so God starts to intervene. Now, God intervenes actually very slowly. The last intervention, by the way, is the most interesting intervention that God has with Bilam. But that, my friends, we're saving for tomorrow morning at Torah study. So I'm not going to give you the best part of the story. I'm going to give you just a little glimpse of the story, because you have to come back or stay. Either come back or stay. 9 o'clock, you can join us in this very room and hang out with us, and we're going to talk a little more about this particular section. Okay, so here's God's dialogue. All right, here's literally, I'm going to read it to you. Here's God's dialogue. God says, that night, God came to Bilam. So God shows up to Bilam, came to Bilam and said to him, if the agents have come to invite you, so like if people from Moab come, you may go with them, God says. You can go with them. But whatever I command you, you shall do. So God says, if the people from Moab show up, you can go, but I'm in charge. Okay, so that's verse 20. Verse 21, verse right after it. When he arose, when Bilam woke up in the morning, he saddled his donkey and he departed with the Moabites and the dignitaries. So he left. So God says, these people might show up. If they show up, then you should go with them, but know that I'm hanging out with you, like really I'm in charge. And then he wakes up, they show up, and he leaves. So one would say nothing. Do you notice anything wrong with this? Nothing's wrong with it, right? He says they're coming, they come, he wakes up, they're there, he goes. But the Hebrew nuance is what I want to talk to you about. It's the same kind of structure. God says, if they invite you to go with them, then you can go. One construct. The other construct, though, is that Bilam goes with them. It's a different verb. So God says, you can go with them, but the other verb is that he goes with them, meaning he gets absorbed by them. It's almost as if he thinks it's his party, almost, right? It's almost, he didn't keep it outside to be like, I'm going to go to someone else's party. It kind of gets ingested into him. And this is when God gets more and more frustrated with Bilam. Because God says, you can do this because you're going to get pushed around a little bit by this king. So you can do it, but don't go with them. And by the way, the beauty of the Hebrew is that in the English, you would just read these two verses and not know the difference. But the nuance of the Hebrew enriches the dialogue and says that he sort of loses himself. And he gets engulfed by the ideas, the concepts of the Moabites, and then he loses himself and his own identity. And he's dragged into their concepts and their ideas. And so I want us to think about on the Shabbat, does this happen to us? Do we get dragged in sometimes too much into something? Even though we plan not getting dragged into something. We think that we have enough strength to not get dragged into something, and then sometimes we get kind of like swallowed by it. It gets underneath us, it pulls at us, and sometimes we know we're doing it, sometimes we don't know we're doing it, and then we kind of get stuck and we get lulled into something we really shouldn't be doing. And I think that this moment that Bilam, even Balak teaches us is that we should be cautious about these moments, that we should be really, really, really focused on interactions, on friendships, on all these moments, that we have to elevate them and be like the friend who's going to the birthday party to support the person at the birthday party and love them and support them and be with them, but also not sort of get into their business and their life and get dragged into it and get pulled in different directions. And so I invite all of us to think of that and to not follow too closely. I feel like that sounds like a driving rule, not following too closely, but not following too closely and not to get engulfed into the sort of overlying scheme that Bil'am falls into with that little nuance of the word with, where that he goes with them as opposed to going with them. So I hope all of us are able to keep those goggles, those differentiating goggles on this Shabbat and going forward, particularly as we, like I mentioned, start to head into these times that we're going to start to introspect a little bit more and start to reflect on our year and where we're going, because the high holidays, the Chagim, are not that far away. So good luck in the deciphering, everybody, and I hope it's a very sweet and wonderful Shabbat. And join us tomorrow at 9 o'clock, because you're going to hear much more about this donkey, by the way. And if you've seen the movie Shrek, it's a very significant Torah portion. So you're going to want to join us tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Truly, if you've seen Shrek, you're going to want to hear about this special donkey that's in the verse. I read it about him. I just kind of skipped over him because he's for tomorrow. All right, Shabbat Shalom. We are going to think of those in our community who are in need of healing, physical, emotional, or spiritual healing. We think of Chava Leah, but Esther, Gary Bandel, Daniel Bernstein, Gloria Bernstein, Lillian Bushell, Sloan Caston, Brian Church, Karen Coles, Chuck Curry, Cheryl Cutler, Casey Daskell, Mark Davis, John Day, Jaden Deal, Rabbi Dov Ben Tzipora, Judith Dratler, Martin Edelman, Dr. Jesse Gachman, Ira Kafka, Shmuel Ben Chaitza Rivka, Shoshana Malka, Bat Sima Golda, Shirley Kafka, Bettina Kaplan, Gary Kane, Bonnie Kleinman, Michelle Kingen, Esther Rhoda Kaufman, Gloria Land, Rochelle Liebman, Michael Medoff, Yankel Yitzchak Ben Moshe, Lydia Nachum, Barbara Newmark, Linda Greenblatt Neuwirth, Gloria Plotsky, Elliot Porowich, Mark Rosenberg, Lillian Rosenblatt, Menachem Shua Ben Sara, Diane Spiro, Gay Bat Yehuda, Vemisha, Aharona Davita Bat Avrahama. To those names, we had any name that you would like to add at this time. משבח אבותינו ואמותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, שרה, רבקה, רחל ולאה, הוא ברך את החולים. הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם, לחימם ולרפאתם ולהחזיקם, ואשלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף, השתה בגלה בזמן קריב, ונאמר אמן. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Becca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. As together we say, Amen. Some announcements for us on this Shabbat. Let's see. This coming Thursday, so we've had something every Thursday. We had bowling last night. It was fabulous. Who knew that the Khans were great bowlers? Both of them were I am not a good bowler. It is safe to say. The first time I rolled a 65 with all 10 frames. Then I think something in the 40s, all 10 frames. So I'm really a bad bowler, but it was really fun. And so we had a pretty nice turnout, and there were a couple of really good bowlers. So Minda Shaman, who you know, who works here at the congregation, first of all, pretty decent bowler, and then her husband, Ron, is a really good bowler. He's like a bowler. I mean, he got the whole thing with the stepping back and the whole thing with the rolling and the thing and the whole like bowling thing. Not like me with and then dropping it and having it rolled and pray. Praying and bowling don't work, by the way. So I think Rabbi Khan mentioned earlier, like we can, pray, but also we have to like do. And so I don't think the praying works with the bowling. I think you kind of have to just bowl and it works. So this coming Thursday, though, we are having our screening our movie. Join us. We're watching Defending Your Life with Meryl Streep and Albert Brooks. If you have not seen the movie, it is an excellent, fabulous movie. We're going to have all kinds of fun, like popcorn and milk duds and candy, and just come and hang out with us this coming Thursday. I don't remember what time it's at. 6:30, 8, 6, 7, one of those. It's on the website. It's also on the flyers right out there. You should also know that we have anyone on the live stream, anyone here who wants to bring 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th graders next Friday, please bring them to join us at services. Adults can be at services. There's a kids programming with our brand new youth engagement professional, Annie Rosenthal. She'll be doing a parallel program during services with our youth. So any 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th graders are welcome to join us. That's next week. We're going to Israel, congregational trip to Israel, June 11th. So join us June 11th. I know you're thinking it's July, so it's 23. I'm letting you. You're like, he's getting the date wrong. It's of 23. So there's that. What else is there? Am I missing something? I'm missing other. Do you remember anything? I don't know. I don't know. I think that's good. That's sufficient. Everything else is the website. Our amazing marketing team puts everything up like clockwork, so everything is gorgeous and up there. So please look at everything on all of our upcoming events. And then there's some high holiday stuff that's going to trickle out soon too. So that's coming. I'm breathing. I'm trying to breathe through it. We're going to begin to conclude our service with Aleinu and then Kaddish. Aleinu can be found on page 282, 282, and together we stand. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. 287, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. We transition our thoughts now to Kaddish Tom, to Mourner's Kaddish. We think in the period of Shiva, the immediate 7-day mourning period of Moshe Zetri, in the period of Shloshim, the immediate 30-day mourning period of Joan Katz and Dr. Stephen Jarecki, and our yortzites that occur for us on this Shabbat: Richard Barron, Barry Beloff, Trudy Berzon, Dennis Blyden, Josephine Dreyer, Teddy Feder, Albert Fearing, Lillian Gelfond, Gilbert German, Barry Glick, Anita Hoffer, Esther Hoffman, John Urson, Matthew Caston, Rose Katz, Ben Kestacher, Lillian Chrysler, Lillian Mayer, Ida Cohen Neville, Carol Sychos, Fred Richmond, Harold Richmond, Beverly Rosenbluth, Samuel Salem, Ann Silver, Abraham Silverstein, Seal Spielvogel, Rose Kawa-Stern, and Tanner Harold Weissman. To those names, we had any name that you would like to add at this time. Kadisha Torah Moners Kaddish 294. Yitgadal v'ikadash shmei rabbah, ve'amad yivrach chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam ulmei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'a v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei likudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran ba'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shlomo Rabba min Shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony, may the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel. As together we say, Amen. Please be seated. We are going to conclude our service with a little Oseh Shalom on this Erev Shabbat. Oseh Shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru imru. Amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Conclude the service and prepare to leave this sacred space. I'd like to offer you our ancient words, hallowed by time, one of our most precious blessings on all of you here and all of you watching together. Join me if you know it. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ye'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the light of God be with you so that all of you, this Shabbat and always, can know peace. Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom.